We are back on the Bethany Sports Beat, and we welcome you to BLCVikings.com. I'm Don Westfall, Director of Athletics here at Bethany, and joining me for this round of the beat is DERICK LYNGHOLM, the women's soccer coach here at Bethany. How many years has it been for you, Coach?
I believe this is year number 8, Don.
Number 8, so just about halfway around with Coach Peipel on the men's side, and he's kind of bested you by a few years beyond that, but 8 years, and at this point, again, you've been with the program for just about a decade now. Mm-hmm. Optimism always at this point of the year very high, and we were just talking before we got going. Great, unlike last year when it was so hot and humid right away, you guys have had some great weather. Everybody comes in, conditioning is already off to a great start, and obviously a lot to look forward to as you guys only a little bit more than a week away from your first match. 2 weeks, you got to condense a lot into those 2 weeks, do you not?
We do, and that's why it's always very important for our girls to come in good shape. And in comparison to last year, we were way ahead of the game and been injury-free so far, and hopefully that continues.
Talk about last year. You guys, I remember talking to you last year, and already before the season began, you knew scoring was going to be a little bit of a concern, and that's pretty much the way it played out as far as just generating some offense. Is that probably one of the key things that as you get going for this year, just looking for more shots, better disbursement of goals and things like that?
Yeah, evidently to win games, the big thing is you have to score more than your opponent.
8 years has taught you that. That's excellent. That
did.
is good coaching right there.
No, we had a lot of trouble scoring last year, and just looking at the first couple weeks of camp here, you already see a big improvement just with probably 3 or 4 freshmen that we've added, how much ahead of the game we are than last year, especially in the offensive department. So that's going to be a big key for us.
And it's not that you didn't have offensive talent on the team, it's just a matter that things didn't gel. And obviously at some point, the frustration, the realization, you have girls on the team who in high school did score a lot, and when those goals don't come, they tend to feed off one of themselves, and then the frustration sets in. And you could see that in the second half of the season. Goal scorers who knew they should be finding the net just couldn't get there. But nonetheless, the talent obviously is there for you.
Oh, it definitely is. And last year, I think one of the big problems that we ran into was a lot of injuries. I mean, we lost Kendra Fairburn and Hannah Spalding. At least, Kendra was still playing, but was playing through a high ankle sprain, which really is tough to do. And that's so much of our offense comes right from that midfield, and without having that, it just really kind of crippled our game last year. So this year, again, health is going to be a big factor for us. If we can stay healthy, I think we'll have a much better season than we did last year, and well, I guess time will tell.
Who are some of those top returning players that you're counting on, whether they're going to be providing some of that offense or some of that defensive support that you're going to have to rely on as well?
Sure. Well, our top returning scorer from last year is Taylor Friel. She's going to be back up front for us. Lindsay Stewart and Cheyenne Wadecki kind of are going to be 2 really integral players in the midfield for us, or middle of the field, I should say. Bridget Hennon was second-team All-Conference last year. She'll be back as well. And I think we've got a total of 14 letter winners back from last year, and most of those girls are going to be fighting for playing time.
Okay, and then you talked a little bit ago about some of the freshmen. You've already seen them in just a few days of practice make some impact. Who do you think some of those freshmen are who are going to be continuing that once you get into actual game competition?
Well, like I said, we've got a lot of girls on the field who are really going to be vying for playing time, but probably the 2 that are going to be most crucial to our success are going to be Avery Cash and Megan Zeller, who are both goalkeepers. Avery comes to us from Ottumwa, Iowa, and Megan comes to us from Matthews, Virginia. So the 2 of them are going to need to step in and fill big shoes with Lexi Mowry graduating, and hopefully they're going to be a good backbone for us defensively.
Okay. A little bit of breaking news as we go to air here, but we actually were able to already secure the UMAC polls this year, and as you look forward, obviously Scholastica is going to continue to be one of those teams that everybody watches in the conference. Minnesota Morris is in there second. That's where they finished last year in the conference. But then if you look anywhere from 3rd to 7th, really there was only a couple of games in there that separate those teams. Do you see it being that closely bunched right in the middle for those teams fighting for those remaining conference playoff spots?
I think it's going to be real tight. I mean, people have asked me, where do you think you're going to finish this year? And I tell them I've got no clue, no idea at all where we're going to finish. We've got a lot of young players, and really out of our returning players, we really only have 1 player who's playing the same spot they were last year. So from our standpoint, things are going to be very different, and I think as you look through the conference, you see a lot of that. Martin Luther had a great year last year, but they've lost, Bethany Schultz, who was co-conference player of the year and really the backbone of their team. So it's going to be interesting to see how a team like that rebounds. Northwestern had kind of a down year last year, and they're going to be back strong. Looks like they're 3rd in the preseason picks. So it's really an open ball game to see those last couple playoff spots.
All right. And for you guys, with just one final question, but obviously as we're taping this, we're just a few weeks, or actually a few days into the season, and then you go down to Buena Vista for a tournament in a couple weeks. When you guys try to set goals, is that something that you as a coach do before the season? Is it something that as the first week develops, you sit down with captains, or just how do you as a coach sit down with the team and say, okay, here's where people have us picked, but I think we can do a little bit better. How do you create those goals for the season?
Well, like I said, I think this year is a different season compared to last year. Last year, I think we had 6 or 7 seniors, starting the season, and this year we've got 3. And last year we had a lot of returning talent, and like I said, injuries really crippled us. So I think as we look to this season, we haven't really had any talks about, this is our goal for how many wins or that kind of a thing. I think now this year we're really taking it more one day at a time, trying to put people in positions to succeed. And our goal is always to get to the conference tournament. Chip and a chair and a chance, as they say. And that's, I think, are going to be our goal again this year. Is just take it one game at a time. Hopefully our young players develop and our returning players, kind of step into a leadership role that maybe they haven't had in the past.
All right. Well, continued success with the early season here. Stay out of the training room.
We'll try.
And we'll see what develops with the conference as it rolls along here. Again, women's soccer coach at Bethany, DERICK Lyngholm. I'm Don Westfall, Director of Athletics, and we thank you for joining us for the Bethany Sports Beat. And reminder to come back and look at some more of the options that we have on this beat. And again, that would be at blcvikings.com.